This morning, one of the legends of Indian music, Bharat Ratna Lata Mangeshkar, passed away at the age of 92. As I pay tribute to this great singer, a thought comes to my mind. The range of Lata Mangeshkar's accomplishment in the field of music cannot but attract one's intellectual analysis towards the Indian singing and music as a discipline vis-a-vis that of the West. Lata Mangeshkar sang in 33 languages over a period of over 75 years. The range of her songs, pure classical music to the modern day pop and rock music, always amazed everyone. As we compare the Indian music with the Western music, in Indian music it is called Sare Gama Padhani, and there is an equivalent in Western. But in Western, always the notes are fixed and scales are given. So one scale is that scale in whichever way you look at it. As compared to that, in Indian music, you can treat sa as sa and have 7 notes. Re is sa, ga is sa, ma is sa, pa is sa. So you can begin from any of the harmonious points, which is called the notes, and can construct your own scale and music with this. Whether the current debate around Western systems of science, of schooling, are really superior or more superior things were in existence in the Indian or in the Oriental system. This is a hot political debate, but without going into the politics part of it, I personally believe that superiority and glory of our past can peacefully coexist with a continuous urge, attitude towards improving oneself, and not just moved in the glory of the past, but looking at the future. Let us take the Indian schooling system. Mahabharata and Ramayana probably have large number of examples of the private school system into which not just the royalty but also the common people went. The Sandipani Ashram, the Dronacharya Ashram were examples of that. But later on, much before the British famous residential school or the boarding school concept came into prominence, there were schools by Raman Maharshi, there were schools by Ramanujacharya, which were teaching liberal arts and making all-round personality of students by teaching them warfare, by teaching them politics, by teaching them science, and allowing them to flourish in real life by participating in politics as well as human welfareism. Many of the discoveries happened probably much before the Western world came to know about them. The Islamization, the warfare, the colonization, the ability of the Western scientists to document and present it well in a manner that was accepted all over the world took away the original credits from some of the Indian and Oriental scientists and explorers, and it got permanently affixed to the Western world. For example, time taken by the Earth to orbit around the Sun. The Western world till about the middle of 15th century, as I have told in one of the episodes of Mahapatran's poem, believed that the Sun used to move around the Earth. Between the year 600 and 680 before Christ, there was an Indian mathematician called Bhaskaracharya who wrote a book called Surya Siddhant. In Surya Siddhant, he calculated the time taken by the Earth to move around the Sun to be 365.258756484 days. He did it to the 9th decimal point. And later on, through advanced astronomical instruments, the established value is 365.2564 days, a difference of 0023. Imagine the superiority of calculation using indigenous tools and using indigenous patterns. The second thing that I want to bring before you is trigonometry. Trigonometry in India was known as a trigonomiti, and it was there with the mathematicians in the Gupta dynasty in about 476 to 550 after Christ. So they calculated that sine square A plus cos square A is equal to 1. Trigonometric formulas and identities nearly 1,000 years before the Western world came to know about it. Hindu Arabic numerals or the decimal systems, which were depicted by 10 things 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0, were first propounded in the 6th and 7th century AD by Hindu scholars, and it was taken to Europe by Middle Eastern mathematicians led by Al-Khawarizmi. Now look at Pythagoras' theorem. Pythagoras' theorem was probably one of the earliest geometrical propositions which was written around 400 years before Christ. But 400 years before that, Bodhayana, one of the famous mathematicians, wrote a book called Bodhayana Sulba Sutra. In 8th to 7th century BC, he has calculated the Pythagoras theorem as well as the value of pi. We were taught in school that Sir Isaac Newton lived between 1643 and 1727. He discovered the universal law of gravitation. But 500 years before that, Bhaskaracharya, again, a mathematician who lived in India from 1114 to 1185, formulated the theory of gravitational force, which was documented in his book called Siddhanta Shiromani. He called it Gurutva Akarshan. Gurutva Akarshan. Gurutva is gravity, Akarshan is attraction. Several examples I have given where at least 500 to 600 years before the superior documentation, conferencing, networking, publication took over science as their own, India knew about it. India knew that the earth is round long before the Greeks, who are now credited to have first discovered that earth is round. Plato told that earth is round around 6th century BC. Bhugola, a word which is found in many texts much before Plato and Aristotle told that earth is round, is called Bhugola, or who earth is round. And Lata Mangeshkar, who signified the glory of Indian music as superior to Western music in many, many ways. Music is universal, but the complexity, the rendering, the science behind it sometimes shows the evolution, the tradition, and the legacy behind it. We discovered some of our own traditions, how they are superior. I hope all of you would have liked it. Thank you very much.